Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Gina Govas. Thanks for being here. Today I'm going to talk about yesterday's full lunar eclipse in Pisces. I'm going to talk about the north and south nodes transiting the Virgo Pisces axis, which began in January of this year and will continue until July 2026. And since we're in Virgo season, we'll dive into the essence of the sign, which I will refer to as the Mystery School of Virgo. I'm going to begin with a brief overview into what I believe is a unique approach to birth chart analysis through a system of astrological wisdom found in Shamanic Astrology as taught by Turning of the Ages Mystery School. This is beyond describing how people are. In this paradigm, signs are seen as mystery schools that we're here to investigate, to study, and to learn about in our lifetime. And this astrological system really revolutionizes the deterministic and predictive approach, and it goes beyond concepts like detriment and exaltation, good placements, bad placements, a good chart, a bad chart, what is weak, what is strong, and rulership. So it's a non-judgmental approach that recognizes that there are different paths for different people. One is not better than the other, and all are equally valid. So when I sit with clients, we explore intent. We really want to get to the essence of the archetypal energies that we're here to embody. In my next video, I will share more in-depth explanation of this paradigm and my approach. But what we really are doing is that we want to investigate why. Why do you have the birth chart that you do? What are the most important issues? What are you learning? And how does it help you evolve? And what does it mean besides describing you? Why do you have the moon sign and the ascendant that you do? Why is your north and south node where it is? And why, for example, might it be conjunct an angle or a planet? Exploring these questions provide clues as to where you come from, why you're here, and where you're intended to go. So many life questions can be answered by the sign that is rising or your ascendant. When we look at the zodiac as stages of growth or evolution, each sign and planet has a significant role. So for example, your moon is more than your feelings or your mood or the mother. Your moon tells us about your lineage, where the instinctual self originated, past life themes, family history, your genetic coding, the tribe that you come from. And this helps us identify where you may be stuck, where you're limiting your progress, your defaults, addictions, and where you need to retrieve your power. And when we combine that with the placement of the south node in the birth chart, we begin to really identify what you've already mastered, your specialty, the training you've already taken, where you've been, and what you're familiar with. And so while we don't want to disown our south node and what we've mastered, we also don't want to remain in the south node. And again, you don't want to overdo the moon or have the moon running your life, because the moon is the unconscious and it's how we move through the day without thinking. So when we look at that, we have an understanding of the past, and then we can look at current life intent. And while we look at the whole chart for that, I'm just picking out, the ascendant and the north node because they are really significant. So when we look at the ascendant, it describes our leading growth edge for our personal identity and our primary purpose in life. And we identify the archetypal energies that we really came here to embody. And the placement of the north node further describes the life purpose and the direction to move towards. Now, the north and south nodes in the birth chart describe an axis of past and future. So they operate together, and there's this directional flow. We come from somewhere and we're going towards a new direction. It shows us how to connect our past or our lineage to original intent. So about every 19 years, we have a nodal return. So there's this activation and an initiation time window for realignment or, alignment with original intent. And a nodal return means that the transiting nodes come back to the same degree that they were when you were born. So for example, if you were born between April 1969 to November 1970, you were born with your north node in Pisces and your south node in Virgo. During this time between January 2025 to July 2026, the nodes will be crossing the degree they were when you were born, so you will have a nodal return. Again, this happens about every 19 years. So, bringing it now into the context of this eclipse, we are in eclipse season. We've had a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which means that the sun is in the opposite sign of Virgo, and this forms an axis. It forms the Virgo Pisces axis. We have an eclipse because the sun and the moon align with the nodes, which are the intersection points in the orbit of the sun and the moon. Now, the north node and the south nodes, again, are always opposite each other. And during this full moon lunar eclipse, the south node was conjunct the sun in Virgo, and the north node is conjunct the moon in Pisces. Again, they are both at the same degree at opposite ends. Now, I mentioned earlier that the north node is the direction that we want to move towards in this lifetime. So I want to share a brief excerpt about this lunar eclipse from a recent blog by Turning of the Ages Mystery School's founder, Daniel Giamario. And as I mentioned, during this eclipse, the north node is conjunct the moon. So this is a north node eclipse, offering less shadow implications and being more hopeful in prospects than a south node eclipse. This is particularly true for the Americas, receiving the full radiance of the sun and all that lies behind and beyond. Nevertheless, just like with all full moons, and especially with eclipse events, it's important to equally take into account the sun's position, in this case near the south node, as the resonant polarity between moon and sun is greatly amplified. On the dark side of the earth, the shadows of night are easily seen. The counterbalance is on the sunlit side, where a hopeful future can be imagined and transmissions received. So I wonder how you're feeling and what you're experiencing, and if there's something that really stands out during this eclipse, or if something has, come into your awareness. Now, coming into the season, when we talk about Virgo, Virgo is a mutable earth sign, and it is left brain functioning. So as an earth sign, it is feminine and it is evolutionary, which means it brings spirit into matter to honor it. The key words are sacred service, sacred work, and health. And this mystery school investigates the patterning of the organic world and of soul to really discover and then dedicate oneself to the sacred work. So the intent of Virgo is to discover and dedicate oneself to their sacred work and to maintain and restore a sacred balance with life, and to learn how to be in a reverent, co-creative, relationship with all of life with a strong sense of purpose. The gifts of Virgo are understanding the natural cycles of the earth, of seasons, of the body. So, for example, that could be working in, with herbs or plants, naturopathic remedies, practices that restore wellness in the body, routine, eating habits, physical health, the rhythm of the day. And it's associated with the sixth house, which is our daily life and practicality and discipline, useful matters. I see it as, the house of life admin, the intricacies of the day that keep life in order. And it's the ability to see when something is out of pattern and then help to restore the natural intended pattern. So we say Virgo is left brain, so it is analytical and precise. It seeks mastery through practical skills and self-sufficiency. So this is the archetype that is discriminating and really attuned to the pattern. So, for example, it would be coming into a space and really noticing when something is off and pointing it out. So there is a critical eye as an act of service. Now, as every archetype has a shadow expression, when this is distorted, it could be overly controlling one's space or the space of others. And Virgo can express through cool, critical, or judgmental ways of doing a job or being in relationship or dealing with family. And there could be, impossible standards to meet, so nothing seems to fit the image of sacred work. So now it's really about finding new ways to do the sacred work and ways that are far more effective. And, what does it actually mean to be dedicated to your sacred work? It's knowing that when you get up every morning, you absolutely know that you're doing what you were born to do. You have a sense of purpose, you know what you're contributing, and the work is what's important and you love it. And it's especially important with Virgo rising, which forms our relationship axis, that your relationship supports the work. It doesn't distract from it, and the partner is equally dedicated to their sacred work. And it doesn't have to be the same work. It's just, a partner who understands and has the same attitude about work. So, for example, I met a woman who leads a wellness business that includes travel and adventure. And while her partner has another career in another field, he is also dedicated and very much a part of it. They both know what they are here to do, and they are equally dedicated in their work and what they bring to the world. So Virgo is the sixth sign, or the sixth stage of evolution on the zodiac, and it comes right after Leo and before Libra. And I find this placement so interesting. And this is where you really get the essence of it. Leo is the essence of the sun. So it's the center of the solar system. And it's the mystery school that investigates radical, radiant self-love, self-confidence, that really wants to be seen. It's the phrase, I am. And Libra is the mystery school that investigates what is the nature of partnership and relationship. What is the nature of healthy pair bonding. So Virgo is the last sign that follows I am, and it is the sign that comes before we are other oriented, right? Before we enter relationship. So it's a stage of refinement. We are out in the world, we're being of service, we're doing our best, noticing the details in each pattern, each system of nature, of the body, of ceremony, the patterns of creation that are constantly in motion. So Virgo will analyze, discern, and realign and tidy up the edges as a sacred offering. So on this axis where Virgo analyzes, it's Pisces that lets go. This transcends time and space, evokes a sense of boundlessness and a spiritual connection. So it's where we surrender to the will of the divine. It's to be in service for the joy of it. Pisces is the heart of the healer, to feel the pain and suffering of others, but it's not distorted. It's not the guilt or the martyrdom or the notion of I'm not okay if you're not okay. It's actually when you can feel what others feel and you offer that to the world. It's having the skills and the capacity to give selflessly and make available to the world what you do best, and that is to feel, then to have compassion and empathy, to be in true service and to understand and to know the joy of it. So the Pisces Virgo axis is really a healing path, and healing can happen in a variety of ways that can include art and medicine, science and the occult. And this axis bridges spirituality and physical reality and invites us to explore ego and surrender and how our technical skills meet our intuition. So coming back to this South Node Virgo energy, we may be coming from a highly disciplined environment where spontaneity can feel difficult. And with a North Node in Pisces, we're here to learn to surrender, to surrender to the power of spirit, to leap over the edge and let spirit guide us. And as I mentioned earlier, this archetype explores the patterns and the sacred that is in its many forms. So the lineage could really include having been, a priest, a priestess, a wisdom keeper of the earth, a nun, someone who had followed strict religious orders that create physical tension or inhibition in the body. So where personal joy and personal pleasure is considered indulgent. So the North Node in Pisces in this lifetime is about learning to let go, to release perfectionism, and to find safe space to let go of physical inhibitions. This is why I love exploring the nodes in polarity, because it offers this profound healing potential where old patterns and counterproductive stories are released, and then we realign with our life's purpose and original intent. So coming up on September 21st, we have a new moon, solar eclipse in Virgo. So the sun and the moon will be in conjunction at the final degrees of Virgo, just as we enter Libra season and fall equinox. And the sun and the moon will also be opposite Saturn and Neptune at those really significant degrees. Saturn is how we grow, change, and evolve through boundaries and limitations. It's structure and form. It's our relationship with the third dimensional reality, and it's where we ask, what works and what doesn't work. It's man-made law, our focus and discipline. So this is where we can really ask, how can we exist in a 3D reality in a way that works? Can we really get clear about what is and isn't working? And Neptune is outside of time and ordinary reality. It is our upper world. It connects us beyond this mechanistic material world that is condensed to cause and effect. It's the plane of the upper world. It invokes synchronicities, grace, and miracles, unexpected events. And it's where we bring in new vision. So as always, I hope this has been helpful. Feel free to share your comments or any questions. I will be back soon to share more astrological insights and what it means for you. So until then, be well.